The Health Fix podcast teaches you how to take charge of your health naturally by giving you the information you need to elevate your health.
Hello there, health junkies. Welcome to another episode of The Health Fix. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Krause, and today I have two fabulous ladies on with me to help us with something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and it's the relationship with money. And in particular, because of course, The Health Fix is all about getting your health on point. We're going to be talking a lot about what that concept is if you don't have your money down, how that affects your health and your relationship with money and how that affects your health. And really, you know, health is your wealth. So today we're going to be diving all into that. And we're going to be talking about Peg and Madeline's book, because money is an energy game and we can deplete our energy pretty quickly if we're not taking care of it. So we're going to be talking about some tools that are going to help you with their energy altering strategies, if I can say that word, and money attraction tools as well to jumpstart your prosperity and transform your relationship with money. So Peg Donahue and Madeline Gerwick, welcome to The Health Fix.
Thank you, Janine. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks. This is fun because one of the things I've struggled with and had to do lots of counseling over is my relationship with money. And I think a lot of my relationship with money came from how I was brought up. My dad was like, you have to work hard. You have to bust your butt. I came from a family that was third generation to the U.S. and really we're immigrants and coming up in the world. And we just had a lot of, my whole family, just a lot of thoughts on work hard, bust your butt, do nice things.
Sounds like my family.
Yeah. And so
sounds like most families.
Yeah. So a lot of us are kind of wired, right, to think that, you really have to put yourself and your health sometimes into the ground to actually make a living. Do you find that?
Yes, but actually health is the foundation of your prosperity. So if you trade your health for money, it leaves you.
Yes.
It's a big fallacy to trade health for money because it's not going to stick around.
It's true. I see a lot of folks in my practice who are, let's put it this way, very driven, very, very successful, and they get to a point in their career and all of a sudden they're having trouble getting out of bed. They're having trouble, functioning. There's multiple autoimmune conditions. And it's all of a sudden they're like, wait, I've done this with my life. I've done this with my career, but now my health is just falling apart. What's going on? So,
yes, and I have some good friends. Oh, go ahead, Madeline.
Oh, I was going to say, the third part of our book is about taking an energy inventory for prosperity. And it includes 6 different areas for you to monitor and figure out what patterns you're doing that are negatively impacting your money and your health. And it includes things like sleep and food and exercise and things like what you're taking in mentally, emotionally, things like conversations, what you're watching on TV or the internet, and your spiritual practices. So it really covers a broad number of things that are impacting your health and your wealth at the same time.
And I think that, I think that's key. I think that's key to really start to dive into all of the aspects that affect your health that we don't tend to really think about, or there's really no manual, right? And that's part of the mission of my podcast is to really help give people a manual to get some more information on these things that we weren't talked about. Like we didn't even talk about this in medical school in terms of how to balance your practice, where you had a good balance between where you had income and you didn't drive yourself and your health into
the ground.
And so one of the big things I wanted to start off with is really talking about the stories of how you two came together to write a book, because I think, let's put it this way, I think a lot of people don't think about astrology as being something really critical for how we do things in business. Because as you mentioned on a previous podcast, Madeline, something about Mercury retrograde. And I always laugh now because it is like a huge joke in my practice. It's like, where are we? Nope, I'm not making decisions right now. But I don't think a lot of people think about that. But I don't think a lot of people think on the other end of things too, Peg, about the feng shui. Because
absolutely,
these are, they're kind of woo, but they're also so crucial They're so crucial. So how did you two meet, first and foremost, to come together to create your book? I want to know.
Well, we met, I think it was probably close to 20 years ago, Madeline, was it?
Yeah, about 20 years ago, yeah.
And we were both in prosperity training classes. And so we met through those linkages. We were studying manifesting, we were studying prosperity and how it happens for each other. And through Madeline's company, she was looking for somebody to partner up that had feng shui expertise. And that turned out to be me.
Yep.
And then we ended up offering over the years 3 programs together: 8 Keys to the Ultimately Prosperous Business, a program about conscious language, the words that we use, and then our 3rd program was taken energy inventory. And then we decided we'd like to take that to a larger audience, so we put that together in a book. And that book, though, happened to take 7 to 8 years to produce, because we both have our own businesses. I do feng shui, Madeline does business astrology, economic astrology. And so the book took its course. And during that time, during those 7 to 8 years, oh my gosh, the world was changing so rapidly. And we had to keep going back and making sure that what we had and what we were saying about business was accurate, and continue to update it. So finally it was like, okay, we have got to get this book out. People need this information.
Yeah.
And it evolved over time.
Yes, it did.
Right. It had sort of a life of its own that it had to take in order to get finished.
Yes.
Makes sense. It's kind of a labor of love, but it's also something that, as we're evolving as individuals and as we're evolving as entrepreneurs, because I'm sure a lot of people who are listening right now are entrepreneurs trying to figure out their health and wealth status and how to get that right balance. I think a lot of us start to realize that, wait a minute, we can work our butts off, but what we say to ourselves, the language, as you were mentioning, Peg, in terms of how it takes to get to where we're going makes a really big difference. And one thing I wrote about was that I believe it was you, Peg, that might have said it: the universe will not deliver you anything you don't trust or believe in or are able to receive.
That's correct.
To reframe our story about money. So
That's right.
I would love for both of you kind of talk a little bit about the language and what you've changed, what you found to be most successful for folks in the realm of language around money.
Well, one of the things I changed is that money is easy to come by, because I came out of the world that you have to work hard to be successful. And when I realized that, I changed my mantra around that. I also changed my mantra around time. That, oh my gosh, I am so busy, or I don't have time for this or that. So I changed. I have more than enough time. So that time expands so I can fill it with things that I want to do. And prior to doing this, I had a corporate job. I did that world for over 21 years. I was working 70 to 80-hour weeks. I was the breadwinner in my family while my husband was a full-time dad. And then that changed. In 2000, I left that company. I decided it was just time for a break. My plan was to take 6 months off and get another job. And, it's been 21 years. And so my life just evolved, because I had job offers and the like. I kept putting them off for 6 months because my heart wasn't in it. And finally said, no, I just need to go into work that I really love. I mean, I liked the other work. It was traditional corporate data-driven work. And I liked it, but I love what I'm doing now. And I just kept evolving and going deeper and deeper. And along the way, I met Madeline. And I met her early on. And
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I start, whenever I would start to worry about money, I changed it to more money is coming.
I like it.
Yeah, more money is coming, so you don't need to worry. There's more money coming. And I also changed the thing about being too busy. So people would ask me, how are you doing? And I'd say, busy as a beaver. Well, guess what? No. I got busier and busier and busier. Yeah. And finally, I said, okay, enough of that. And I changed it to I have more than enough time to get everything done. And then I did.
Right.
I think that's an incredible concept, because one of the biggest complaints I hear from clients is, I'm too busy to take care of my health. I'm too busy to do this. I'm too busy to do that. And next thing you know, their health is unraveling even further, because we can't get that mind shift. We can't get the the subconscious mind to take that next step.
And one of my oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so the question to ask that person is, are you too busy to stop pushing your money away?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Because whenever we're not taking care of our health, we're pushing away money. And there are a lot of different ways that money can be pushed away. So you may not get a discount. You may not get a client. You may not get some bonus that you would have gotten, or some gift that you would have gotten. You see, there are a lot of different ways that we push money away energetically, but we're not aware of it. We don't connect the dots, you see. We don't realize that, we haven't had enough sleep for 3 nights in a row, and we're too exhausted to attract money or clients, you see. So, but that's not the connection that people make. They just know they don't feel good.
Right.
Right? But when you don't feel good, you're pushing money away, because money has a high vibration, a high energy. It's attracted to high energy. And when you're tired, you're exhausted, you don't feel good, you're upset, you're angry, you're stressed, hey, money's just running away from you, because that's not what it's attracted to. So.
And one of my pet peeves are license plates, vanity plates, the messages that people choose to put on them. And so in a town that I lived in for many, many years, one of the ones that I would see often was, I'm too busy. And that the woman that drove that car was very busy. She was on the run all the time. Another one was, I'm asleep. I often think, oh my gosh, if people only realized what they're carrying around every day, because the stories we tell ourselves, the language we use, it is shaping what happens in our lives and in our days. And it's a very, very important message. So those stories and the words we use. And also, we tend to put money caps on ourselves, money ceilings on ourselves. So your bank account will only go as high as you allow it to go. So one of the things I do regularly is I visualize my bank account filling up, expanding, and giving thanks in advance that it's already happened. And then, oh my gosh, work comes flooding in. But I love my work, and I love my work. Let me put it that way. So for me, it's a joy. And that's another mantra that Madeline and I have carried, is that work is joyful.
Yeah.
I often think we need another word for work, because people look at work and it's heavy. It's like, you're not meant to like your work. You go to work, you earn your income, you raise your family, and then you can, enjoy the fruits of your labor. But we think you should enjoy it all along. Each of us were doing work that we really love. Boy, what a different world we'd be living in.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. I think a lot of people would be healthier, because most of the time when I look at what's the root of illness, it's stress.
It is stress, yes.
Whether it's it's how you perceive what the world is doing around you. So if you are a person that says things are happening to you, or whether you are like, okay, I can fix it, it's more of a it's your mindset around it too. And you guys were talking a little bit about these blockages to success that kind of feed into the language. What else would be a blockage that someone might have in addition to language or some of the thought processes we've talked about already?
Well, it would be the beliefs that you grew up with. So just think about and visualize the stories that surrounded you. What did your parents say? What did your grandparents say? Was money easy to come by? Was it hard? You have to work hard for your money. In my family, it was, you have to work hard to be successful. I grew up in a family with 9 kids. My dad often worked 3 jobs. My mom worked. As kids, we I had a paper route. I babysat. I put myself through college. You just did it. We did it until I learned, there's some easier ways. I remember when I was working in the corporation one time, a project I had was synthesizing another company that we bought, integrating it into our company. And the CEO of that company was in his 40s, and he had bought his own house. He paid his mortgage. To me, here I was in my 20s. That was a revelation. Oh my gosh, people actually pay off mortgages. I said, when I'm in my 40s, I'm going to own my house. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it happened. And not only by the time I was in my 40s that I owned one, we had paid 2 mortgages. We had 2 properties. And it just taught me how when you put it out there and you just suspend any disbelief about how it may happen, trust that things will come together, and then be amazed at how they begin to gel and come together, and follow those breadcrumbs and just, go after it, but in a fun way, not at the expense of your health by any means.
Right.
And you want to cultivate good health. Go ahead, Madeline.
Oh, well, I was going to say, you do a great emotional freedom and healing release for prosperity with this book. And a lot of those beliefs, we're not particularly aware of this, but they become encoded in our cellular structure. Yeah. So the release that Peg is doing is basically to bypass the mind and release it out of your cellular structure, so that your vibration that you're putting out on a constant basis to the universe has less fear, less anxiety around money, less stress around money. So it's easy for money to come to you, because while we're unaware of the fact that we may be pushing it away vibrationally, it's still happening. And it happens at a deeper level than just a mental thought. And so Peg's release is very important to being able to move past a lot of these blockages that have been holding a lot of people back for years.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's in chapter 2 of the book. So if you have a print copy, you just type it into your browser. If you have a Kindle copy, you just click it and it'll take you to the recording on file on the web. And it takes about 45 minutes to do. And we encourage you to do it as many times as is appropriate. And you'll know when you don't need to do it anymore, when you're not thinking those thoughts, when you're not feeling that you're in lack or in scarcity mode, when it just dissolves and you realize that you're trusting that things are happening, for the best. Yeah. And that you have more than enough money. You'll always have more than enough resources. And prosperity, it's about much more than money. It's about having all the resources available to you when you need them or when you want them. And it can come in many different ways. It can come as gifts to you, coupons, discounts, many different ways.
I love this concept of prosperity coming in many ways, because I think it also kind of taps into a little bit of what someone might be, objection. Someone might be like, yeah, well, nothing good has ever come to me, or nothing, and I can.
That is one to let go of, because the stories we tell ourselves are the stories that we are empowering. Whatever you say, you are giving more power to. Yeah. So we say, give power to what the end result of what you want to have happen. Skip over all the however you think it's going to happen, because it may happen a different way. Just skip to that end result and focus on having the essence of what you want.
Right. And you want to give up ideas like it's always something. Mm-hmm. That cliche is deadly because it'll always create something that is taking away your money. Yeah. And you don't want that. You want to believe that the universe is supporting you in developing greater wealth and prosperity. And so you don't want to repeat in your mind or out loud these cliches that are literally training you to push your money away.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. I've told patients before that we have to kind of re-brainwash you.
Right. Retrain ourselves.
Right. And we're going to erase what you've learned. And literally retrain your subconscious brain, and then retrain. Hopefully those cells start to come in there, and work if you can keep the work up. And I say hopefully, which is also another word that's probably not a word that we should be using in the prosperity mindset. Hopefully doesn't give faith, correct? Hopefully something.
Correct. That's correct. You want to choose language that indicates that you trust the universe to always have your back and to fulfill whatever desires that you're putting out there.
Right.
The reason most of the time it doesn't work is because people put it out there and then they think, oh, that'll never happen, or maybe I don't deserve that, or whatever. You see, they they basically put their foot on the brake and tell the universe not to send it to them after they've told them, send it to me, you see.
And so there's a concept of a tipping point, and Barbara Fredrickson and Malcolm Gladwell and others have written about this. So the tipping point is 3 to 1. So to have 3 times as many positive experiences as negative ones. So we're all human, and we're bound to, we do have negative thoughts, or something happens, or somebody pushes your button. So the trick is to get back on track, resilience, and get back up and turn it around, say, realize what just happened, and then have 3 times as many positive experiences or positive thoughts or positive stories. And that will counterbalance it.
I like that.
Yeah. And you can have a negative experience, or what you might perceive as a negative experience, that could have a positive benefit. And as an example, since you do acupuncture, one of my friends got stung by a bee. Ooh. And one of the things he said to me was, maybe the universe was triggering an acupuncture point that I needed some stimulation.
There you go.
So it just depends on your perspective as to how you process any event.
Right. I remember years ago, I actually used to sting my mother with bees because, for arthritis.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. It was a procedure, and it worked. So
wow, that's amazing.
We would go to bee farms and get the bees, and it really worked. Yeah,
it's definitely been quite effective for a lot of people. I don't do it myself, but I have heard of multiple people having success with that.
Yeah, this was in the 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, so that's a blessing in disguise for bee stings.
Yeah. The treatment.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So cultivating really good health, that helps to cultivate prosperity.
Okay.
And blessings. Yeah. Having enough sleep, eating right, eating healthy foods.
Yeah, and there are certain foods that help your intuition. And that's very helpful too, because in pretty much every case, you're not going to know everything. Everything moves and changes so fast now. You can't research something enough to have all the data. So it's important to be able to trust your intuition. And, certain foods will help you to connect to your pineal gland and your intuition better. So there are a lot of important points to taking care of your health, because like I said earlier, health is the foundation of your prosperity. So, right.
No, good.
It really is. And the big part is releasing stress, doing things that will lower your stress levels so that you can be more calm and more maybe measured in what you're doing, more aware of your thoughts and cultivating good thoughts. Your spiritual practices, having a meditation practice, really calming that energy down so that it's a continual flow. And in the work I do with feng shui, one of the premises is that the energy of your space is a mirror of your inner self. And so and people often say, oh my gosh, and they think about, their space or how they left it that morning or whatever. But it really is, it's just a mirror. It's a mirror image. And so just continually keeping the vibration of your space high or nice or level. And just begin with, if you just have a regular practice of clearing out clutter. If you clear out clutter in your space, then you are more attentive to clearing out clutter from your body, because that's what bogs us down. That's what stops us and stops the flow of chi, the flow of energy in our bodies. Mm-hmm. So you can just look to your space and get some images of that.
And then another way to use energy in an easier way is to know what time it is energetically. So, even if you just have my good timing guide for knowing what the energies are and whether a new start is going to work out well or not, or if it's a money day or Mercury retrograde or whatever, see, at least you have an idea of when it's not going to work. So why waste your energy on that day trying to do something that's not going to work out? And wait for a good day when it will work out much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So you can adjust your schedule so that you can accomplish things on days that they'll be more successful, and then that's an easier way. You're not trying to spit into the wind, so to speak. You're right. You've got the wind at your back. See, so
and we're in Mercury retrograde now, and there are wonderful things to do in Mercury retrograde. It's a great time to focus on your health, to do a retreat, to renew your own energy, to refocus your efforts. I think of all, a variety of RE words that will help to cultivate your health.
Interesting. And it's a great time to recycle. So it's a great time to go through your closets or your cupboards and get rid of things that, no, you don't need this anymore. You haven't used it in 3 years or whatever.
Yeah. Recycle, renew, refresh, recharge.
And fix things. It's a great time to fix things, repair things, you see.
And so, repair ourselves.
Repair yourself, repair just think about in your environment. If you have things that need to be fixed, what does that reflect about yourself? Right? So all of it is, there are a lot of great things to do during Mercury retrograde.
Right.
It's not a great time to sign contracts or push forward with new decisions, especially now because we have a lot of options and a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know which option is really going to work out the best. And we may not know until we get to the very end of the retrograde, and it may be even a few weeks after that before we're clear. So, it's better to wait until you are clear to make important decisions, and then you're not wasting a lot of energy doing something that's not going to work out, that you're going to change your mind on later.
Right. And it's a time to reframe things. So one thing you can do is reframe your focus around money.
Right.
So, you're cleaning your house, you're clearing it out, you're doing things, and you're coming across, oh my gosh, I need to do some electrical work, I need to do some plumbing work. Rather than get upset or tight about those, like, I don't have the money to do them. But I say, just put them on a list. Put it on the list with the intention of doing it. So that when the funds or the resources are there, or you come across somebody who can, come in and maybe even do it, without charging you, do some sort of an exchange for it, it will happen. So take an expansive approach and know that it will happen. Just add it to a list. Just start a running list rather than shut your energy down with, I can't afford it. It's never going to happen. I don't know how to do it. There are no resources around. Open up that funnel.
And also intend that the funds are coming.
Yes.
To fix it. That's just as easy to do as well. It's on the list, and now I'm intending that those funds are coming in.
And it may happen a different way than you really anticipate.
Right.
And it might even happen in a better way than you anticipate.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this thought process.
So it's about really trusting. Just putting it out there, not knowing exactly what that end result is going to be, but knowing it's going to be good.
Right.
It's going to be right. And just allow situations to unfold. Now, you just can't sit on your butt and dream these things up. You have to take inspired action along the way too. So that's where, like, starting a list in good faith and putting things on a list, is inspired action. Cleaning your house. Looking at the wealth area in particular, that back left corner of your house and every room in your house. Keep it in great shape. And then you can pair that up with the front right corner. That's helpful people in travel. I'm talking about the wealth areas and helpful people in travel. They go hand in hand. Eventually, you'll do your whole house because there's no area that escapes. You can't just move things around from one area to another because ultimately they are affecting your life. So you just have to deal with it.
Now,
but in a good way.
One thing I actually didn't realize about feng shui is that every room, I was thinking the whole house, but I wasn't thinking like every room. It's the back left corner.
It's the back left corner is the wealth area.
And as you stand in the doorway looking into the room.
Okay. And if you stand in the doorway entering your house, you're looking at the back left from there.
That's correct.
Okay.
So you have multiple opportunities.
Right.
I'm looking at my hotel room right now and going, oh, left corner has, it looks like someone threw clothes everywhere. So that might tell you where the mindset is at currently.
Well, say a little bit scattered. Yeah. But that's okay. So now okay, afterwards I can, tidy it all up and settle it down. Now my daughter has a big work week coming up. So she was telling me this morning that she was, going to clean up her apartment. And I said, well, that's great because I know that you have a big work week coming up. You have a lot of things going on this week. And that was her intention because by tidying it up and she's working from home now, things will go better. And she knows that, so if when you have a lot going on, tidy up your space for things to go more smoothly. And then the stress level lowers as well.
Awesome. Now, is there, go ahead, Madeline.
Well, when you have a lot of clutter, you see, it's distracting. It takes your energy away from your whatever you want to focus on. Right. You see,
it's draining.
It's draining. It really is. And it took me quite a while to realize that other people's clutter was driving me nuts. And when I finally realized it, I just insisted that people clean up their clutter and stop leaving it around, and then when I would walk through a space, I would feel fine. But if people had clutter all over the place, I just felt like I had 100 gnats in.
And a quick tip is empty your trash cans every week. Don't let them fill up. Right. Just go around the house and empty all your trash cans because that's accumulated negative energy.
Right.
Yeah, get them out. Many people, let them fill up. Yeah. Don't let them fill up. Just get it out.
That makes sense.
Make it a habit. Yeah.
Get your trash out so you can restart, kind of refresh.
Yeah. And then, another tip, just to refresh the energy, bring in some fresh flowers. Just, every week have a vase of fresh flowers on your table. That's an instant chi boost right there. It raises our mood level. It sets a better tone for your environment. It's inexpensive to do. It's an instant lift right there.
Yeah, we always have fresh flowers in my office and in my dining room.
Yeah.
And it makes such a difference. I can't stand to be without them.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about this now. When I go home from here, I'm going, okay, I'm definitely going to have to tap into my garden of roses.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't leave them outside all the time. What am I doing?
So one
of the things it makes such a difference.
Yeah, and so I'm in New Hampshire. It's June, so lupines are in season now. So my husband and I scooted out early this morning, took a drive for about an hour and 15 minutes away because we wanted to see them in season. Just these fields of lupines, and purples and whites and pinks, and it just exudes abundance. It was just awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
They are beautiful.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
Now, speaking of color, is there not a color that goes with working on the feng shui of money and wealth? Isn't there a specific color that kind of goes with that?
Well, the color for the prosperity area is purple, but I always tell everybody, you don't make it all purple. So a little bit goes a long way. So purple, green is a great color. Green is the color of money. It's also the color of vitality, wood energy, okay, in our organ system and all that. It's growth and livelihood. Bring in a little red, bring in a little gold, but little touches go a long way. But the feng shui color for that area is purple.
Perfect. Now, if we were going to do a whole kind of feng shui thing, let's say we're going to get into it. We're going to go, okay, we're going to do this. Now, of course, I want to work on some of Madeline's hard work on timing.
Absolutely.
And kind of work it in here because the whole concept of timing of making money as it relates to astrology to me is very fascinating, like nothing I've ever really thought about before. This is just kind of, you guys have come to me. I've had a couple other folks on the podcast. And what fascinates me is your good timing guides too there, Madeline, because I don't think a lot of us think about when we should do certain things. And I know you've kind of mentioned it a little bit. Mm-hmm. When would be a good time for someone to do a feng shui kind of makeover, let's say, to their house or to their office or wherever they wanted to start?
Well, if they were using the good timing guide, I would tell them to choose a day when the final result is green. So the final result for a new start is green. That would be number one. It would be nice if there was a green dollar that day, because that might mean that they would bring in more money, more prosperity, because of the feng shui consultation and making the changes that were recommended. But the other things are nice if they're green, but they're not necessary. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
So, and you can do a feng shui consultation anytime, whether it's Mercury retrograde or not, because as Peg was saying, it's a great idea to refresh an area during Mercury retrograde. So there are a lot of different ways that you can use timing to accelerate your prosperity. But probably the most important piece is to not try and do things during timeout periods. Okay. And timeout periods occur every week, 3 times a week on average. They can last anywhere from a few minutes to actually 2 days. Wow. And most of them might last, say, 5 to 10 hours, but they might occur in the middle of the night. And, who cares? You're sleeping, right?
You should be sleeping.
Yeah, you should be sleeping. Yeah. So it just depends on when they fall. But when they fall during work days and during work hours, it can be problematic in the sense that our culture is designed to push ahead 90 miles an hour every day. Yeah. So it doesn't really work well from the universe's point of view, right? Because the universe thinks that there needs to be what I call it a timeout or a renewal periods, gestation periods, you see.
So, Madeline, also talk about the moon cycles because there.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So a new moon is when things are getting started, but then you pretty much need to wait a day or two after the new moon so that the moon is actually visible in the sky and the moon is increasing in light. So when the moon is increasing in light, it's easier to get things started because things are increasing. And then first quarter is when there's usually some kind of challenge, the first quarter moon, when it's kind of a square there. And then the full moon is when things come to light. So every full moon, you're going to find something out that maybe you didn't quite realize. And things either complete then or you make decisions around the full moon. And there's a window there between the full moon and the third quarter where it's very nice, like say if you're at a trade show or you're distributing your ideas or your products and services, you're putting your information out at that time. So that's very helpful. And then third quarter comes and then that cycle is not useful for starting something new because the structures are not in place for a new start. So a lot of times you hear, we're going to do such and such and get this going next week and it's third quarter. And of course the week comes along and it doesn't happen. It's just, the structures are not in place yet. So there's that process too, and timeouts. It's just so much easier if there's times when there's growth, there's times when there's limitations, there's times when energies are great for new starts, and times it's challenging. So
also the third quarter moon though is a great time for clutter clearing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I get more calls for clearings. I do space clearings and personal clearings. And I like to do them during third quarter moons because the energy is supportive then for releasing. Yeah. And so it's a great time in your own space to let go of things. You're more apt to let go of clutter. Clutter is just things that you don't like or you don't use. It's as simple as that. Just hold it up. Do I like it? All right, I'll keep it. Do I, And then if you don't like it, but is it necessary? Do I use it? Oh, I should keep this. But if you don't like it and you don't use it, then it's up to, pass it on to somebody else, who could use it. Excellent. Yeah, free up your space because when you have more space around you, more open space, that is opportunity right there for the universe to bring you new things, new opportunities, new items, more money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. This is a great kind of holistic approach to looking at business. We're looking at how we think about things. We're looking at decluttering, opening the spaces. We're looking at where we put things. We're looking at timing. And I think all of this is really a concept that most of us don't really think about when it comes to business at all. And we don't think about how in our business this affects our health as well.
And it sure does.
And that's why we wrote the book, because there's really a broad spectrum of how energy impacts your money, your business, your health, everything. And it's really a paradigm shift, you see, to understand what's happening from an energetic point of view, rather than sort of these disconnected dots that we don't typically tie together.
Right. When in the 1980s, when I was working for a corporation and we went through quality programs, there was a big rush then to get improve quality in corporations. So we went through and implemented a quality program. One of the corporate standards was neatness. And I'll tell you, it made a huge difference, for everybody to leave their offices neat at the end of the day or at the end of the week. Periodically, we would have days when we would just throw things out. We were ordered to throw out at least 30% of the paper that we had. I used to throw out more than that because I'd take a look at the list of who else, received memos and things like that. This was long before email. And so many things being digital. And I said, if I need it, I can just go to them because I know they won't throw it out. So I would just toss things out. And then, I just had it in me that I had an urge within the teams I manage, my areas, in my team's areas, they always had to be neat because I knew that business would run better. That was just an intuitive sense. And then when I studied feng shui, I was like, oh my gosh, here's a language for this. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew it had to be, we're going to.
Yeah, and the Germans a long time ago figured out that their workers were more productive, the most productive, when they had one thing in front of them. And they would not let their workers move to the next piece or next item that they were supposed to do until the first item was completely finished and off of their workspace.
Wow.
See, they figured it out early. Yeah.
Yeah.
We went through this thing of multitasking in business as well. Multitasking is not good. It is not favorable. Don't look to hire people that are able to multitask. That you just get distracted. Hire people and train people to focus. Get the job done one thing at a time. You get it done much faster and much more efficiently when we are focused. And that's what good health is also. Cultivating good health allows us to focus our brains, to concentrate on things.
And when you focus on one thing at a time, you complete more things. Because when you're multitasking, you may get halfway through each task, and then run into obstacles like not enough money, time, energy, etc. Whereas if you were to focus on one thing at a time, you would have completed a certain percentage of that before you ran out of money or energy or time, you see. And so you actually get more done when you focus on one thing at a time.
I wholeheartedly agree. I've had to learn it the hard way.
Most of us.
So now you can practice it the easy way.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense in terms of getting things lined up and working things one thing at a time in the right space, in the right, environment, headspace, etc.
And in the right time. I've been using Madeline's Good Timing Guide for a long time. Before I knew of it, I also used astrology in my own work and in business. I didn't tell anybody, at the time, but I always paid attention to void of course moons and when contracts were signed and all that, because the contracts that were signed or Mercury retrograde, those were the clients that were most difficult to work with. And oftentimes they were the teams that I ended up being handed to clean up.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow I had a knack to clean these things up and to get, to make things right. But I just knew, oh my gosh, they were difficult. The teams that I managed, I always made sure I wiggled our contracts around so that we signed them during good days. Sometimes I'd have to maybe stretch it out a little bit or, come up with a few excuses like, oh, we're going to do that in a few days just to get it into a better time frame. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful because I think for a lot of people that maybe especially I have a lot of people who do health coaching, who listen to my podcast. And I think when we do sign people up for our programs or whatever we may be doing, when it is in Mercury retrograde, we will get people to ask for refunds, or we'll have people be like, oh no, I didn't mean to do this. I can't do this, whatever excuse comes up. And I think that's really something smart. And I haven't done it in the past, but I'm definitely all in on.
Yeah, pay attention to it. When I schedule feng shui consultations with people, I do schedule them on green dollar days, or green days to begin with. The green days are good results days, and I stay away from timeouts. I just work my way around. When the moon is void, of course, I stay away from those because I just know that nothing will come of it. It wouldn't be worth my time or the client's time to do that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. And when I was working in the corporate world, every time a contract got signed during a timeout, there was always huge problems in purchasing with the vendor. I mean, things where you have to return stuff and shut down a line and all these kinds of things. See, so I learned the hard way too about making sure that we weren't making decisions during a timeout because we were always missing some critical piece of information or we misunderstood it. And then once we got the right information, we'd have to stop and scrap whatever we had done and start all over again. And all that time and energy and money was wasted. And so when I finally figured that piece out, I was like, okay, we're just not available for a meeting during that time.
Right. Well, and that's what I would tell people, and I still tell people that during that time today. This is when I can do it. I don't tell people I can't do it.
Right.
I just say this is when I am available. So you select the times when you're available. Select good results days. And things will go much more smoothly. You'll save a lot of time and a lot of money.
I think that having both of your individual aspects, like Peg, your feng shui consulting business, and Madeline, I think the polar business guides also with like the schedules of when to do things. I think this is key for folks. So I'm going to let you individually tell folks where to find you and any other details you want to give, because we also have the free chapter giveaway here too. And I'll have that link.
So you can find both of us at www.moneyisanenergygame.com. You'll find us both there, and you'll also be able to find the book there as well. And then separately, my business
and that's where the link is for them to download the chapter.
Yeah, they can do it there, or you can send it out as well. And then my business is fengshuiconnections.com. So that's FENGSHUI, connections with an S.com. And Madeline?
And my site is polarisbusinessguides.com. Now, Polaris is the North Star. So this is the guiding star, right? Yeah, so it's Polaris, Polaris, business, spelled regular, BUSINESS, guides, GUIDES.com.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on. This has been enlightening for me in many ways, and I can't wait to help put the whole package together for my business as well. So I will probably be doing another podcast talking about how I put everything together, because I'm in the process right now of thinking about how we're doing things, because I know we're in Mercury retrograde. We're only thinking right now, no doing. I'm getting Madeline's timing chart. So now I know what I'm going to do when, and then I'm going to be working in some of the feng shui.
Yeah, I was going to say our last chapter is about applying the tools by playing the game. So we give you some pointers on how to play a game so that you can integrate all these different aspects of money into your life in a fun and easy way.
I love it.
And you can play it with your coworkers, you can play it with friends, or you can play it by yourself. It doesn't matter. You'll win either way.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on and giving so much great information, ladies. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Health Junkies, I hope you enjoyed my podcast. If you want to continue the conversation based on what topic I'm talking about at any given time on the Health Fix podcast, head over to my Facebook group, Find Your Health Fix. It's where we are talking about what's going on in health, what I'm talking about in the podcast, and I love to answer questions there. So come hang out and join the conversation. And by the way, right now I have a free Manage Your Stress Naturally course that you can grab on my website at drjkrausend.com, because so many people are stressed out right now, and really it has to do with the basics, your routines and simple habits that are messing you up. So head on over to drjkrausend.com and go check out my free course on managing stress naturally. All right, folks, have a great day, whatever you're doing.
Subscribe, rate, and share info.